Okay, so you see the name of the video. I'm doing this for a reason. When you look at the name of the video and you look at what you got here, today's military. Yep, that's the correct answer right there. Today's military, and years ago's military, and decades and decades ago military, and history replaying itself. And Facebook. You say, what am I talking about? How did Facebook get involved in the military? And Twitter. Oh, how they get involved in the military? Well, a lot like the military, you sign a contract when you go in, surrendering over your body, the ownership of your body to the military industrial complex, to a bunch of other human beings who now control you and can do whatever they want with you. They can put experimental drugs in your body. That's right. They have the right to do that, because if you refuse, well, you could be court-martialed, locked up, thrown out. That's right. Court-martialed and locked up behind bars for refusing. So you're not allowed to refuse because they own you. That's correct. When you join the military, you become a slave. You become a slave to a bunch of parasites. That's what you can become a slave to. You become a slave to politicians. That's right. Governments, mind control. Parasites, psychopaths, who want to use you for their own political gain, to invade other countries, to steal other people's things, resources, to kill innocent people that have never done nothing to anybody, so that these sick, twisted individuals can have more power, more for themselves. Meanwhile, the very same entities that now own you, your so-called government, your corporations, your bankers, who now own you and control you because you was becoming a man or you were becoming a woman. So the definition of becoming a man or a woman is to become a slave. Now, why did I bring up Facebook and Twitter? Because as history replays itself, truth becomes something that psychopathic, twisted, sick, evil entities like governments, politicians, bankers, they don't want to hear. You're only supposed to know what they want you to know. You're not supposed to know anything they don't want you to know. Okay, so how does that roll into society? Well, everybody's in the military. You see the name of the video, right? Everybody. Men, women, don't matter who you are, what age you are in the military. You say, no, I'm not. I never even enlisted. I've never been in the military, you're going to tell me. I said, but you are. You're going to say, no, you're not. I'm going to say, let me tell you how you are. Because, see, the military has policy that you sign a contract that gives them ownership over you. When you apply for a job in today's society and in history society, that's right, in history society, like over in Nazi Germany, and on, okay, Russia, and on. When you apply for a job, you put your signature at the bottom of that application, don't you? You sure do. Well, they're going to lie to you and manipulate you and tell you an application is not a contract. And we have at-will employment throughout the United States, for example. Okay, and there's only a couple of states that ain't at will. And the couple of states that ain't at will, they're contract employee. The ones that are at will, which is 90% of the United States, they'll tell you that it's not contract employment. Though, however, what they won't tell you, you have to go look this up to find this out, because they're not about to tell you it because they wouldn't want you to know the truth, is once you sign a signature at the bottom of an application, it becomes a binding contract. And anything the employer writes that goes along with it that you have to sign to get the job also becomes a binding contract. So the example is Facebook, Twitter. And you say, what do I mean by Facebook and Twitter? How does that apply? Well, I'm going to give you an example of Facebook and Twitter. Here's a Facebook page. That's right. Here we are up on a social network site. Okay, so what happens is this. You will find many, many, many companies now that have another piece of paper that they introduce to you that talks about Twitter and Facebook and on, social networking sites. And makes you accountable that if you say and make any post on these sites about your company, that you can be terminated from your job. The only difference between the military and what they're doing here is the military's way of terminating you is to put you out of the military, dishonorable discharge, court-martial you and put you behind bars, while the employer now has the right to terminate you based on your post. So now let's look at the real reality here, how history has replayed itself, and how it's happening right now again. You know how things keep happening again over and over and over because nobody ever learns and nobody ever grows up. Well, here's your example. So 9/11, we'll use that's a really good example, okay? 9/11. So on 9/11, we had a bunch of people with box cutters hiding in a cave go take flying lessons at a little dinky airport, not in a commercial airplane, learn how to fly a little dinky plane. And just from learning how to fly that little dinky plane, they learned how to hijack an industrial airline and take control of this industrial airline and fly it into a building. So this is what they tell you. So these people flew these two planes into these two buildings and brought down 3 buildings with 2 planes. Flew 1 plane into the Pentagon, but anybody that's done their homework, that has a lick of common sense in their head at all, that even has one little brain cell that's working, understands and knows that professional pilots came out and said it was physically impossible to do what they've done. People who flew commercial airlines for 30, 40 years for a living all said the same thing. They tried to give you the pancake story about one floor collapsing and bringing down another and another and another and another. Even though in all of history there's never been a fire to bring down a skyscraper this way, let alone 1 or 2 or 3. Yeah. So, anyhow, so the bogus lie, the complete lie that your government fed you about how 9/11 happened. So let's just say that you're awake for this and you know it's a lie. Let's say somebody comes along on your Facebook account who agrees with the official lie. Well, they would be considered politically incorrect. Because politically correct means you're going to believe whatever your government feeds to you. So now you're working your job and you sign the form. When you signed the contract that they told you wasn't a contract, it became a contract after you signed it, called the application. And then you signed the form saying you would not blah, 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 leave post about your company. So now you had to put down your Facebook address, that's right, and your email address on this piece of paper at your job. So now your employer can monitor your Facebook account. So you leave a post up to somebody replying to 9/11. My example, okay? And you tell them no, it did not happen that way. That the buildings were brought down, let's just say, with explosives or with an energy weapon. I'm going to use both scenarios because both scenarios are floating out there, right? Right. So, but either or, you say whichever one, right? That's the official story, the politically correct story about some people with box cutters that their ID just happened to survive the fire and blah, 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 blah. The official lie. Okay? Well, you went against the official lie, which makes you politically incorrect. So your employer notices this, and your employer says, well, that's it. You got a job. You don't have a leg to stand on. You lost your job because you spoke the truth, and they don't want to hear the truth. They want to hear the lie. This is how this works. Throughout history, and I mean throughout history, even over Nazi Germany, over in Russia, over in China, you've had communist cool governments who have dictated their people, and if their people spoke out, said the truth, they were prosecuted. People who have told the truth have been not only prosecuted, they've been sent to death by their very own governments for telling truth. Because the governments want you to believe their lie. So, if I was to make up a lie and tell you, I live in Minnesota at the heart of the Rocky Mountains. That's right. So in Minnesota, I have the Rocky Mountains right here at my front door. And at my back door, I have the Gulf of Mexico Ocean. Okay? So I can step out my back door here in Minnesota and go swimming in the Gulf of Mexico Ocean. Or step out my front door and go hiking in the Rocky Mountains. Now, you would all know that that's complete BS. Though, however, if I was your government and I told you this, and you told me it was BS, I could send you off to your death. I sure could. I could use my suckers right here. That's our military. I could use my suckers, my slaves, my pawns, to go to your house, pick you up, and put you in a prison, put you to your death, do whatever I want to you. Now you think I'm nuts, but I'm not. Because this has happened over and over and over throughout history. The difference between history and now is we have technology. We have social media sites. We have companies. See, throughout history, people who went against the politically correct, went against the lie, who knew the truth, they were prosecuted, they were attacked by people around them, people were sent to their deaths, all because they spoke the truth. Just like the word conspiracy theory, throughout history, see, they gave the name conspiracy theory, put the theory at the end of it, to paint you out as a nutcase, a tinfoil wearing hat nutcase, when in reality all a conspiracy is two or more individuals planning to do something and then succeeding and carrying it through. That is considered or called a conspiracy. So if me and three buddies got together and decided to rob a bank, that would be a conspiracy. If me and three or four others got together and we made plans to do something that might change the law in our land, that would be a conspiracy. Though, however, if somebody catches on to the fact that you know the truth about something they done, like Nam, Oh, yeah, there's lots of examples I can give you throughout history. Nam's only one of them. Well, then, by golly, your government's going to get mad at you. They might even pull a Snowden on you, even though that was a snow job. Right, a snow job. You know, Wiki lies. You know, Wiki lies? You know, the big psyops that so many of you fell for? Hook, line, and sinker. That's right. Because see, all they got to do is feed you a little bit of truth with lies to get you to follow them, to get you to believe them. Okay, so there you go. It would be like, you know, want to know what another conspiracy is that's actually truth? Government pays your media. Military controls your media. CIA controls your media. And they lie to you every day. They make up fictitious stories that didn't even exist. Their idea of being a journalist is to go into an office, reach all the way up the anal, and pull crap out and put it on paper that never happened, and report that to you. It's not to go out in society and see what's really going on and report that to you. No, that's not allowed. Because then they might tell you truth, which is our enemy in today's society. Truth. So do you see how this plays? Because see, throughout history, we've had communist governments who've dictated their people, told their people what to believe, and anytime any of the people went outside their narrative, them people were prosecuted and brought to death. Some went to prison, some went to death, but they were all prosecuted as an example to the rest of the people to scare the bejeebus out of you so that you would zip your mouth and not say nothing. Well, that's exactly what we got going on today, see? Because when you went to work and you signed that application, it became a contract that they lied to you about when they said that in that will state an application for employment is not a contract. But they didn't tell you once you signed it, it became a binding contract. Yeah, they just conveniently left that part out. So you were coerced into signing something that became a binding contract, which now they're calling binding, which is not binding because that's breach of contract to begin with. You was never informed on the truth that when you signed it, it became a contract. If you had been informed on that, you might have looked at the Facebook or the Twitter part of your application or on your separate form that they wanted you to write your Facebook account on or your Twitter account on and sign. And you might have said no thank you and walked out the door. But because you wanted the job, you went along with it and you signed it. Now, because you went along with it and willingly signed your signature to it, they're using this as a binding contract. So, here you are in today's society. You can lose your job for making posts on Facebook, for making posts on YouTube. Don't blame me? You're full of it. See, I lost my job for making posts on YouTube. I sure did. I lost my job because I made posts on YouTube on my own time at home, on my own day off. My job was taken from me. I was blackballed from all the other jobs in the area I lived in. I sure was. Why? Because I spoke the truth and made posts on YouTube. So I lost my job. I got a visit from the feds. I had a military light come through my window and had my Skype signal scrambled, which, by the way, you can't have your Skype signal scrambled without military involvement, somebody outside your door. to send analog into a digital signal to scramble your signal, which is what happened to me. This happened shortly after I lost my job. I had the green light pop through my window. I lived 2 miles outside of town. On 3 sides of my building was cornfields. Across the road was a college. It was summertime. College wasn't in. It was like 10:30 at night, and I'm on the second floor of the place I'm living, and here comes this green light right through my blinds that were shut, bouncing off my walls. A big round ball of green light. And then it disappeared, and then it came back. And I nudged my son at the time, who was about 15 years old, 15, 16, pointed at the wall. He seen the green light and said, "What the hell is that?" Followed it around the room like I did, and it disappeared again. Then my Skype signal, I was in the middle of a conference, went psh, like the old TV says when you took the antenna off the back and you got snow and you had that static sound. Well, that's what Skype did. Though, however, Skype's digital. So how did it do that when it was digital? Because they have a scrambler that only people that possess this scrambler is military. That's right. If you go look, you'll find out the only people who possess it's military. This is why I said there was military involvement. All because I posted videos on YouTube. Then, 2 days after that, I had 2 feds show up at my door, who drove an hour and a half to where I lived into the town to have a cop lead them to where I lived. A local cop I never seen in my life, who knew me by name, who talked to me like I was his best friend, and said, "Oh, Bill, he's such a great guy, blah, 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 blah." Okay, so, needless to say, I spent 15 minutes standing outside talking to 2 feds about BS. And they brought up my videos, of course. And then they left. It was called scare tactics, people. To scare me into shutting my mouth. Why would they do that? Because truth isn't allowed in today's society is why. What do you think happened to YouTube? It's full of shields. Real truthers ain't here no more. And what real truthers there are so suppressed down you can't find them. Because YouTube's your new brainwashing box, your new TV set. As we replay history, and none of you people can even see it, I guess it's just too way far above your grasp to understand what's really taking place. History is replaying itself in your face. So yes, all men and all women of the United States are military. You've joined the military without knowing it. Even if you've never been in the military in your life, you've now joined the military without knowing it. You were coerced into it without even knowing it. Because, see, the military owns you. You can't just open your mouth when you want. You have to follow your orders. Well, your companies now, your jobs, own you. That's right, they own you. And they will use their weapon against you if you're out of line. You might, maybe your employer, he didn't like Trump. Or she didn't like Trump. And they found you voted for Trump. Or they saw a post that you made on Twitter or Facebook, because after all, you wrote it down for them and signed the paper, saying you supported Trump. They disagreed with you, so they fired you. You ain't got a leg to stand on. So you know what this does, don't it? It scares the gajivy out of you, just like the military does, so that you comply. You conform to their want. So when they said zip your mouth and believe whatever bullshit I tell you, they meant it. So therefore, when I tell you that I live in Minnesota with the Rocky Mountains at my front door and the Gulf of Mexico at my back door, You better believe it, or you might be out your job. You better believe it, or you might be court-martialed and sent to jail, or maybe even sent to your death. Even though you know that is a complete lie and could not even possibly be, you better shut your mouth, or you might lose your job, or you might even get court-martialed and go to jail, or be brought to your death. Now you're going to say I'm nuts? No, I'm not. Because history is replaying itself again right in your face. Just because it hasn't escalated that far yet, don't mean it won't. Because it already has a bunch of times. And since it already has a bunch of times, and all the same tactics they did then are happening now, all over again, and again, and again, but you can't see it, that's not my fault. That's really not my fault. There's a reason I was attacked or lost my job. There was a reason Jerry was attacked and lost his home, lost all of his belongings, lost his liquor license. That reason would be because they need us to shut the fuck up. Excuse my language. We are not to be reporting or telling truth. After all, they don't allow CNN, ABC, CBS, Fox, MSNBC, no mainstream media or alternative media is allowed to report truth. They're only allowed to report what truth that their owners have decided they can report. That's right, their owners. Your owners. That's right, your owners. You didn't know you had an owner, do you? Oh, yeah, but you do. You have an owner. They own your body. They literally own your body. How do you say that? Have you looked at the stock market? Your birth certificate number is in the stock market. Don't you know your cattle? No lie. You can look up the stock market and pull up your birth certificate number and find out how much you're worth in the stock market. Because you're cattle. Your property owned by somebody else. How could this be? Because we turn our backs and we look the other way and we zip our mouths and shut them like they told us to. That's how that could be. So will anybody ever get it? I doubt it, but I thought I'd say something.